Welcome to Daily Pulse, where we keep your finger on the pulse of the latest breaking news and the news they're keeping from you. Brought to you by the Vigilant Fox and Zeee Media. I'm your host, Maria Zeee. We talk a lot about transhumanism and the technocratic agenda on this broadcast, focusing largely on speech and other freedoms which are really a human right that are facing a loss as a result of this agenda. But the one thing a lot of people don't necessarily take into consideration when looking at these topics is the health impact of the transhumanist agenda. RFK Jr. recently made a statement that raised a lot of eyebrows. He said that it is his vision that every American is wearing a wearable device within the next 4 years. Take a listen.
Their diet, about their physical activity, about the way that they live their lives. We think that wearables are a key to the MAHA agenda, making America healthy again. And we are going to, my vision is that every American is wearing a wearable within 4 years.
So apart from the privacy and surveillance nightmare associated with that statement, what exactly are the health impacts of wearables? Has this apparently very MAHA agenda taken the time to explain the impact of EMF, what it does inside the body, the other potential flow-on negative impacts of this? Inesa Ponomariovaite is an entrepreneur, humanitarian, and holistic health professional who focuses specifically on these issues. She warns wearables are just another step in the transhumanist agenda, and furthermore, these harmful frequencies are all about controlling human beings. Inesa joins us after this short word from one of our sponsors who makes this show possible. In his revealing book, The Bible and Gold, author Alan Armstrong examines a troubling truth. Our modern monetary system directly contradicts biblical finance principles of honest weights and measures. Gold isn't just a metal, Armstrong writes. It's God's testimony in the ground that truth is weighty, value is real, and justice is measurable. Genesis Gold Group has built their entire approach to retirement protection on these same timeless principles. While central banks print trillions from nothing, gold remains what God declared it to be in Genesis. Good. Armstrong's exploration of gold and sound money couldn't be more timely. From the tabernacle to Solomon's temple to the streets of New Jerusalem, Scripture consistently presents gold as God's standard of honest value. Genesis Gold Group's faith-driven experts help you transform vulnerable retirement accounts into physical precious metals. Not paper promises, but tangible wealth that preserves purchasing power against the very devaluation Armstrong diagnoses. Why trust your family's future to a system built on monetary deception when there's a biblical alternative? Visit goldbiblepulse.com today for your free copy of the Bible and Gold and schedule a consultation to align your retirement strategy with God's principles of honest money. That's goldbiblepulse.com. Honest money for uncertain times. Inesa, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate you coming on.
Thank you so much for having me here today. What a pleasure.
It's great to have you. I am very much looking forward to this discussion. It's actually something I'm incredibly passionate about, and I know that our audience cares about as well. Before we get into the topic of wearables, how this all links to the transhumanist agenda, and not to mention all of the health concerns surrounding it, would you tell people a little bit about yourself, your brief history, and how you became involved in wellness and educating people on these topics?
So, American Dream never was given to me like in a beautiful red box and it says, this is for you. Live your American dream. I came in the United States 15, 16 years ago, and I went through a lot of harsh times as a result. For me to become legal, pay my taxes, to what I call live my American dream, right? Work hard. What happened is, of course, my health declined. As a result, I ended up seeing a lot of doctors, and these doctors were not able to help me. I mean, they did technically by giving me lots of drugs and medications. So with that being said, that led me to actually more chronic disease, and I just decided I'm sick and tired of being sick while I'm sitting in the best medical system in the world, and things are not getting better in my health, actually it's getting worse. So I just decided to take charge of my own health and start doing what I call God's natural remedies. And just when you're miserable, you will try everything, right? And as a result, I changed my life. Since then, I've never been sick again. And it's been 10 years, 10 happy, healthy years. And of course, when my mother got diagnosed with cancer, I immediately knew that I don't want to do anything with the medical system as much as I can. And I decided to do whatever it takes to heal my mother a natural way. That's where I dropped my entire life, my career. I was in finances and I dropped everything. And at that moment, I actually truly studied cancer and science and biology and everything I possibly can to save my mom. And yes, I did save my mom. She's been happy, healthy years, and many others. Now we've been actually having a facility where we save a lot of people from all over the world, actually. So that's how I started my journey, just not trusting what's going on in the medical industry and trying to help myself and saving my mother.
That is absolutely incredible. And I'm hearing more and more of these stories. Maybe we're hearing them now more because of the fact that so many people are losing trust in the pharmaceutical industry. But we also have another giant elephant in the room, which is the biopharmaceutical industry and the, I guess, the surveillance that's going to go under the skin and wearables and implantables and all of this sort of stuff that really is wreaking havoc on the body as far as EMF and all of the other toxic elements that are involved with this. I'm really interested to hear how you became interested in that component, because surely all of the exposure that we have to EMF and various forms of waves that we can't see is actually impacting your patients as well. Talk to us through that a little bit.
Yes, it's absolutely a big deal. And I tell people all the time, there's no healing unless your cells can communicate. And there's definitely more and enough research showing so far that all these devices that people attach to themselves, including Fitbits and whatever, now we have thousands of different brands out there, they do actually disturb your cell communication, your hormones, your actually immunity, your central nervous system gets affected by them. So we do have enough of research to say that, but where we don't have research is where we can state these devices are safe. And if you're gonna look the research or the case studies has been done on these devices, it's been done by the same company who's actually selling a device. So it kind of makes sense they want to do something funny for marketing purposes, right? And then at the same time, we don't have universal third party independent research or any kind of type of case study to prove a single one of them to prove that they are safe for us. And the reason why it's that, because it's very simple. You don't have to be a science orientated person or like me who spent 27,000 hours on a global research. There are basics we need to understand here. What happens with electronic magnetic field, right? First of all, it's electronic magnetic field. That means there's some kind of type of radiation going on. So we are biological beings. As biological being gets exposed to some, if it's higher or lower radiation, less or more you're getting affected. And the reason why people will get affected the most in these days than 50 or even 100 years ago, because of this data right here that nobody looks for. And those what we call heavy metals. And I'm just gonna go on I personally never seen a patient, myself included, right, who doesn't have a heavy metals. And the best way for people to understand is if we have aluminum in our body, and now you're exposed while you have aluminum in your body to electromagnetic field, what happens to you? It happens exact same thing as you put aluminum in the microwave.
Right.
It
Right.
sparks. It triggers. It starts stirring up everything in the part. But keep in mind, it's a temple we need to carry throughout our lives. I mean, we need to live with it. It needs to function in pretty good level in order for us to carry families, jobs, and to do what's needed. So if you don't, first of all, our patients or our clients or people or entire humanity is full of metals. I never seen a single patient or a single human being, including 5-year-old children, not being full of metals. That's the number one problem. Number two problem, now when you expose yourself to electromagnetic field, that radiation starts activating that metal inside of you. So it's no longer just interferes with your communications with your cells. Now it's directly causing a damage.
Right. Can I ask you just briefly, Inesa, including those children that you see, does this include vaccinated and unvaccinated individuals?
100%. 100%. The children that are vaccinated, I do see a higher percentages.
Hmm.
And I'm starting a completely new case study. I have 4 babies at the moment. The mothers that I worked with, they couldn't get pregnant. And of course, we helped them to get pregnant naturally and safely after they lost all the hope in the world. I'm actually going to be testing as urine, taking the urine sample for the newborns very shortly here. I'm creating the case study right now. And I'm super excited to see because I know we pulled all the metals out of the parents before they decided to have a baby, before we helped them to deliver the baby. So I'm super excited to see what those new babies that we've been developing and bringing to the world, what the urine sample is going to look like. Super, super excited. This is something that I just decided to do it literally in the last couple months.
Yeah, wow. That's incredible. I have long heard about the impacts of all of these heavy metals on our bodies, raining absolute, chaos in our bodies. But often we don't necessarily think about all of the exposure that interacts with those metals as well to various EMFs and things like this. And of course, we have more 5G towers now. I don't think anyone's necessarily looked into the impact of the satellite network linked with the 5G network, the sort of Internet of Things and the Internet of Everything. And we want to do more on the broadcast on those topics. I've, of course, been talking about this for a very long time. But this push for wearables, Inesa, I was very disturbed to hear RFK Jr. recently saying that it's his dream that within 4 years, every American would be wearing a wearable. And of course, this is another, potential conflict of interest when we look at the Surgeon General Casey Means having a wearables company. But many people have raised their concerns about this, including Dr. Mary Talley Bowden, for example. But I feel that a lot of people aren't well educated when it comes to wearables. I've personally 2 cases now seen people that have actually burned from their smartwatch, for example. And I try to tell them, please immediately take it off and stop wearing this thing. And the next thing I see them wearing it just on their other hand. So talk to us a little bit about this and wearables and how this kind of links in with the transhumanist agenda.
100%. So first of all, I tell people all the time, it's very easy to test. Most people are not even understanding such basics, but like I'm sure people are gonna hear me today. If you actually take your cell phone and you charge it next to your bed as you're sleeping and charging all night long, right? You're gonna get up with major headache in the morning. And the next day, if you're actually gonna take the same phone and keep it next to your bed, but you're not charging it, you're gonna get up with the less headache in the morning. You're gonna have a little bit better night's sleep. But if you take your phone outside your room and sleep without your phone in the room, you're gonna have almost no headache unless you had a really bad night or you're literally living next to 5G tower. And you're gonna see how that alone makes the huge difference. I tell people all the time, you don't have to be the smartest person in the room. Do basic tests. There's also a device where you can truly measure what is the EMF level of these devices. And there is substantial and pretty high level of using your Apple or smartwatches or any of those devices. You truly just need to measure, and that's all what it is. That if you're gonna start googling these frequencies, right, what those frequencies does to the human body, it's truly cooking a frog slowly in the microwave. That's all what it is. So when the Kennedy said, and I wasn't really staying on this topic very much until a few people highlighted to me, it's for me immediately sounded like we're putting a network of tiny spiders in a spider nest. We all going to be connected into this one network. And somebody like me who studied Nikola Tesla work, and in fact, my wellness center is 369 Wellness Center, right? It's all my companies, most of my companies under Nikola Tesla's work. I study Nikola Tesla. I study the frequencies. I know what it takes. I understand what it takes to heal people with frequencies. So you understand this, there's a frequencies that actually interfering with our brains and the way we think, and there's frequencies that heals us. So now if we all connected, this is just a theory of mine who has always been thinking very openly about things. What if all of us become in this part of network, in this spider net, right? And now we all connected as one or major towers, which is 5G and satellites. And if one day somebody doesn't like us anymore and decided to turn us in some kind of type of very negative frequency, there's frequencies are used even in some music industry. They purposely, I'm not saying specific people, but I know I heard things, I seen things, I've been told things. You can use it by create a certain vibration, and it could be anger related, it could be sadness related, it could be all kinds of negative things. So for me, it's more like, what is the bigger agenda? If they're safe, we already have a clear data. There's no data that these devices are safe. Okay. Now we're pushing, or our government, public government, who's supposed to protect public health, that pushing something that's never been studied long enough. What happened with our policies in our country? Choose people first. We are the ones who's paying the taxes, okay? So we should have a right for case studies or some safety studies. We don't have any of that. How we could be talking about something like this where we don't have a case study of being these devices safe? But one thing we know for sure, these devices are definitely not safe. So when a Kennedy pushes topics like this, as you say, it raises my concern too. What is the bigger agenda?
Yeah. What is your understanding as to what that bigger agenda is? Because I could offer my thoughts, but I'm keen to hear from you.
For me personally, and again, I'm not judging Kennedy itself. I'm just saying, is he really that what he wants, or somebody behind his back want these things for us? A lot of times we know these people are not always really doing what they want to do. There's a lot of people who actually helps them to influence them certain way. So first of all, who really wants this agenda on humanity? That's number one question. And if it's a candidate or somebody else, like what could be possibly doing for us? It's for a fact gonna cook us slowly like a frog. And if God forbid we have these metals, as I said, doctors don't look for them. These tests do not exist in the medical field. Doctors never, ever, ever look for these specific things. So we're gonna be running, cooking 300 million frogs slowly, and we can use vibrations to manipulate people's minds certain way. It's so easy to do that. I am not a genius on the earth, and if I had a power like these people, I could do it. It's just a certain frequencies that you can use against humanity. It's easy as long as everybody's plugged to this one network.
Yeah.
Everybody's exposed to that frequency, and if we all plugged into the one network, we're getting not just cooked, they're getting manipulated.
I want to ask you, and I agree with you. And by the way, people can look up Rand Corporation has actually spoken about this and said once we are able to get these implantable devices into human beings, this stuff under the skin will be able to manipulate and coerce people to do things that they would not normally do, which is absolutely terrifying for me when it comes to things like Neuralink. I think, okay, it's really great. You'll be able to help people, walk again, maybe one day or whatever the case may be. And people who have severe disabilities, you're empowering them again. And it's always, these things are always maybe even intentionally done for benevolent reasons and then later on weaponized against humanity. And so I see that there may be people in the industry who have genuine motives, but ultimately these things end up being weaponized against us. And so my question to you is, when it comes to external wearables, things like your smartwatches and things of this nature, how does that differ from once it's inside the body? Is it more damaging once it's under the skin?
Think about this. Even if you want to disconnect and if it's under your skin, you can't just go and disconnect. When I don't like this guy right there, I just turn it off and then leave. I have a free will to separate myself from it. When you have something internally that you need to call a surgeon, and surgeon needs to have a permission, hopefully not from Elon Musk or somebody else, or I don't even know who should be out there. Like now you truly become fully controlled device itself. You are becoming a device. You carry a device that you can just go and start pulling. As you say, there is this there, and I didn't look into so deep. For me, it's just so common sense, because as I said, we find and we have frequencies to heal people, right? So I know there's a frequencies, and I'm not going to mention specific numbers today, but there's a frequencies that actually can bring not just anger, you can start going crazy and start harming people. So what if somebody decides to use that frequency on that ship somehow, some way, and you can't just pull it out? You need to call a surgeon. And what if they're going to create a rule that you should have a special permission to pull this out, or special signature or something? Now you can't even pull the thing out. You need to call a surgeon. So for me, sounds very scary. Sounds nothing but control. I was born in Soviet Union and I lived under control. And I know what that looks like when Russia had Lithuania. And for me, I feel like I'm coming back to 1987, back to Lithuania, where the government tells you which temperature you're going to have in your house, and you cannot have anything less or more. Doesn't matter if you're freezing. So for me, it's really, I see it nothing but control and the biggest bioweapon against humanity. Because at that point, yeah, it's sad.
Are you protected in a world where threats of EMPs, solar flares, 5G, and all types of EMF are interfering with our very existence? Escape the grid with Escape Zone, bringing you the highest quality Faraday technology for ultimate preparedness. Choose when and where your devices are detectable. Faraday bags protect you from EMPs, car theft, card and device skimming, identity theft, tracking, Bluetooth, and GPS. Choose from premium mobile Faraday bags, crossbody bags, laptop bags, and even women's handbags, or opt for the optimum protection with a ballistic backpack, combining cutting-edge Faraday technology with a ballistic 3A Kevlar for the ultimate protection and preparedness. Now you can also protect from EMF with their top-notch EMF beanies and blankets, shielding you from some of the most harmful frequencies in our environment. Whatever your needs are, Escape Zone has you covered, and their range is perfect for personal use, family use, or even as a gift for someone you truly care about. Visit escapezone.com/pulse and protect you and your loved ones today. That's escapezone.com/pulse. Yeah, fact checkers have tried to debunk this, and I say tried because they really have failed. This is from PolitiFact. AirPods are essentially microwaving your brain, and they say there's no evidence that radiation emitted from Apple AirPods will cook your brain. And you know they've tried to address these EMF concerns, and they've said, oh well, the government sets limits for how much radio frequency products can emit, and tests show that AirPods fall well below that limit. And I bring that up because it's funny, those limits continue to increase year upon year. Things that would have been considered, you know, including toxins, including frequencies, all of these things that would have been considered deadly probably just 10 years ago are now suddenly safe, ignoring all of the science that says that they're not. And so it's hilarious to me when I see these fact checks, but it's not hilarious because there's other, there's evidence as well that these things actually alter your brain state. You mentioned about certain frequencies making you angry or making you depressed, and this being in music. I've heard of this also being deployed in movies as well, Inesa. Have you seen with your patients when you actually recommend that they reduce their EMF exposure, behavioral changes as well?
100%. The one of the reasons why we have such a high success rate, it's because we do look into their homes too. What kind of water do you drink? What kind of water do you shower? And how close you are to the 5G towers. So we have to show our clients and patients how to deactivate all this information from their bodies and decode them. Literally, that's exactly what I mean. We decode them from everything they've been exposed to, and all of the sudden people start feeling peaceful, people start feeling joyful, people having tears of joy, and they don't even know why. This is very typical for us. I tell people all the time, and God forbid when they come to this point where we start removing these deadly fungicides that the whole earth is getting eaten alive at the moment. By the way, fungus itself is a huge topic for me. I live my life for it, for this topic. And then you have in metals. These metals a lot of times are used in the body where parasites hide. So you no longer just deactivate the metal, you also activated that little monster parasite that is actually, I never seen a patient who doesn't have them. Every single one of them loaded with parasites. We're not living in third world country, but our nails alone is full of these eggs and all kinds of stuff and people put in their mouths. So yes, it's you affecting people. And what I see when they go through our programs, the joy and peace they receive in their life, and they deactivate themselves from 5G towers, when we teach them how to lock these devices in a safe zone, what specific panels to purchase at home, how to deactivate the water. It's pretty amazing what happens. Like families from getting divorced back together, children start sleeping in the peace, people eating healthy, people feeling better, people overcoming cancers, dementias, you name it. It's like, as I said, I can go on. I know we have to stay on this specific topic, but it's all connected together. It's just the one little piece to the puzzle. And for me, that frequency, God forbid, people really gonna start having these chips. God, I really pray it's not gonna be the case. But if that's really gonna happen, I already know the fungus that is in our bodies gonna get deactivated to certain frequencies. We are not just cooked and microwaved. We are eaten alive inside out because of the parasites and the fungicides.
How does I'm interested to know how the fungus specifically reacts with these heavy metals, if you can give us a brief overview.
So a lot of times fungus likes to hide or uses the heavy metals also as empowerment. And sadly, there's not even accurate testing, or doctors or medical field do not even focuses to find them. As I said, I never seen a single patient or any client who does not have them. So there's a way to deactivate the fungus job. Basically, when you fungus overgrowth, it's fungus for me, it's cancer. It's everything is fungus. Everything goes back. It's the root of the evil in the human body. And if you activate that fungus through the 5G or any kind of type of device, what I call any of kind of type of frequency, you making that little what I call devil start eating your life faster. So now the disease is gonna start growing, in my opinion, like on steroids. It's like putting the gasoline on the fire that was, kind of there, you know, but at the same time, when you put the gasoline, what happens to the fire? So for me, 5G or even those electronic devices or even chips, it's way bigger than just the microwaving a human being. I
Mhm.
see a much bigger broad spectrum because of what I know what people carry in their bodies. And I know how these entities in the body get affected by certain frequencies and what happens to the human brain. I have too much evidence of that. When I work with my people, I'm hands-on. We see them 3 times a day, 7 days a week. So we truly experiencing and know exactly what they're experiencing. We know how they sleep, we know how they feel, we know how they treat their wives, their husbands, their children. So with that being said, I know what happens from the moment we pull the fungus, from the moment we deactivate the 5G towers, from the moment to take the phone away, we return people back to humanity in a lots of love, in a lots of care, disease, free from disease.
I
So
wonder. I wonder how difficult that is for people who live in cities, for example, where they just can't escape these towers. You're saying that there are measures that they can take to reduce these harmful frequencies, even when they're living in highly 5G filled areas.
100%. Because we're always exposed to. So there's a ways to actually wear a devices, and there's going to be more and more companies coming up who actually promote these devices. You just don't have to get tricked. And again, don't get believed in marketing materials. You have to test these devices yourself or work with the trusted sources. Where you can completely deactivate as long as you don't have inside of you. If you have inside of you, is nothing you can deactivate anymore. But someone like me, when I travel, I wear my device actually on my chest, in my pocket, make sure I don't get activated on planes. And also what else I do, I put my phone in very special case that protects my phone, which is my phone is no longer penetrating me. And at the
Like a
same time,
Faraday case.
100%.
Yeah.
And there's also clothing companies coming out too.
Yes.
We're protected from EMF because now we're seeing what's happening in the men's sperm quality and count. We see infertility issues, which is that's exactly one of the case studies I seen it that EMFs do interfere electromagnetic fields with fertility issues. What's happening in our country? Most women come to us, they can't get pregnant anymore, and nobody understands why.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a worldwide phenomenon, and it just so happens that all of these diseases, all of these problems, infertility issues, sperm count issues, everything is getting worse as more pharmaceuticals are taken up by people, and as technology continues to be more and more invasive. That's the two links that I can see undoubtedly in ESA. But not to mention our environmental toxins, the toxins in our foods, what that's doing inside of our bodies. I mean, it's just, and if we start adding these wearables, and God forbid, as you said, any sensors inside our bodies, well, that's, I mean, I can't really see how that's ever going to be beneficial to humanity. And the reason why I wanted to have this conversation with you is because it's going to be sold as something that will improve your health. Oh, this will be able to monitor and give us advance notice if something's coming up inside your body. Well, what if that wearable is actually causing the thing that's coming up inside your body? You know, this is where my mind goes. Anything you want to say on that?
100%. For me, it just doesn't make sense, especially in this country. And I love America more than anything. If I need to ever go on the war for any country, it would be United States. Every time I land here, I kiss the ground. But we're not perfect. And what amazes me with all the money we spend on the research, why we don't spend as much as effort on studying for safety. Why we don't spend as much as time studying for safety and security for public health. I don't understand. As you mentioned earlier on this interview today, people are everything what was announced so good 10 years ago, now we know causes cancer. So why in the world we don't put our resources, and it drives me absolutely insane. I barely can even talk about this because I get so frustrated and it breaks my heart because like we put all the efforts on marketing, all the efforts on pushing something, but how many scientists on the research dedicated facilities are going crazy 24/7, 7 days a week. We're spending trillions of dollars for how we can protect people. Everybody's pushing how on our device, how to scale, make another fake marketing material for something else, and another and another and another drug. Nobody knows what's really happening. Nobody is focusing in this country or safety. Then I voted who I voted for, I was hoping this person is coming to save us. Someone like me who's so passionate to heal people from the root of the cause, so passionate who save people's lives permanently so they never get hooked on insurance companies, pharmaceutical companies, supplement companies. They walking happy, free lives from the disease, devices, and EMFs and everything and above. Why somebody like me with accent who came in this country 16 years ago was able to figure out what is very basic here. And our government, our pharmaceuticals, we have trillions of zillions of dollars. We can figure out these things with all the teams out there. Nobody's focusing. Why our and this is actually our fault. This is my fault. This is everyone who's listening fault because we people need to demand for this.
Yeah.
We need to be done with this. This is not okay. If you are getting sick and sicker every time you go see the doctor, something isn't right.
Yep.
But people are walking so numbed and so dead to the point where they can't even come up to idea something isn't right with them anymore. Because, and God forbid, those devices gonna take over, then somebody can even control your brain how to feel about yourself.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with everything that you've said. And what you're saying sounded like what the MAHA agenda was going to be. It was going to be about getting to the root causes and conducting proper science. And then we started seeing fast track of mRNA and fast track of saRNA and bird flu this and, you know, MMR promotion. And I mean, just things that really make your skin crawl. And it's interesting because a lot of people are celebrating the banning of forgive me, the term has escaped my memory right now. The heavy metal in vaccines that was really recently banned by RFK Jr. A lot of people are celebrating this, but what a lot of people don't understand is that's not actually required in mRNA. which is the technology of the future. This is what so many of them are pushing. And so, I mean, even Dr. Marty Makary said recently that mRNA can be safe. We haven't seen evidence of that, actually. We've seen the opposite. And so, yeah, you don't need these particular heavy metals in vaccines moving forward because mRNA doesn't need it. So what kind of a win are we actually talking about here is my question, Inesa. I'm very concerned that things are not moving in the direction that the people were promised. And this is why we want to talk to individuals like you who are actually focusing on real health, real wellness. We want to keep talking to people like this because I think more and more people are going to move away from big pharma, big medical, and look for alternative solutions, ones that actually work. I want to direct everyone to your website. This is the 369wellnesscenter.com, 369wellnesscenter.com. Holistic approach to healing. Is there anything else you want to mention? And I think it would be worthwhile us having a conversation in future. But for today's broadcast, Inesa, any other sites you want to mention to people?
Most important is don't even fact check me. Listen what I have to say. Take it to your heart, take it to your gut, whatever works for you. But don't listen a single person out there. What is really missing in America, what I've been raised on, and I don't see it here in our country, which is my country now, people are doing what they've been told to. That absolutely drives me nuts. If your doctor said something, okay, go to another doctor and ask a third opinion, fourth opinion, fifth opinion. Do not just go and believe in the one person, including myself. Fact check, stop it for a minute. If you're gonna Google, truly research, go in different Googles, talk to people around you. You're always gonna find the answer. That's what's the beautiful thing about this world, including United States. This world is full of answers. The problem is we got people so lazy and so believing that they need to trust some authority because they're labeled certain way. Now we have this conditioning going on where people not taking charge of their own health and their own lives. And that's what bugs me and breaks my heart the most. So my final message is question everything. Don't believe what people actually telling you. Believe in you truly seeing it. Results that matter, okay? And question everything was given to you. Challenge things. People come to me all the time. I'm afraid to ask my doctor this. It's like, what? You're afraid to ask your doctor? Your doctor's working for you. His job is protect you. You should be not just asking, you should be peeling their skin off. And it's like when people come to me, more questions. I literally dedicate 2 to 3 hours for each person so I can answer as many questions as possible. Why? Because I want them to know. I don't want them to depend on me. I want them to live free, happy lives. So with that being said, question everything. And you're not going to be surprised, but I am always still surprised. One person has one condition. More doctors you visit, more different names for your disease you're gonna get.
Yeah.
So by the time you'd see the doctor five, now you realize you have five disease with one little tumor. One doctor says it's a cancer, other doctor says it's fibroids, other doctor says this. And now when you're done with 5 of them, you're gonna realize every single one of them has different opinion.
Yeah.
So are we talking about facts? What kind of facts are we talking about when the facts are not being even stated? Question everything. Stop being a follower. No more following, no more Instagram, like no more. Just empower yourself. Information is out there. Don't be lazy on your own life, on your children's life. Information is out there.
I'll share one last thing with you, Inesa. I know someone who recently challenged a doctor and had the evidence that the information that the doctor was giving them was wrong. And it was actually evidence from a government website. And that doctor came back and said, well, Chat GPT, here's the Chat GPT response. It says this. And the patient was right. They were taking the information directly from a government website. And I just think, my goodness, how much more of this are we going to see? This is getting totally out of control. This is why people need real people treating them and enough of this transhumanist nonsense. Inesa, very, very grateful for your time today. Thank you so much. And I'm sure we'll speak again in the future.
Thank you so much. Have a blessed day.
You too. Imagine being in your 20s, newly married, and given just 60 days to live by the Mayo Clinic after a grueling cancer diagnosis. That was Rick Hill's reality in 1975 until a letter led him to a Tijuana clinic. There, he embraced Laetrile B17 supplements, enzyme therapies, a raw organic diet, and detox protocols. Within just 3 weeks, Rick was off morphine, gaining strength, and today, in his 70s, he's been cancer-free for 50 years. His story, featured on the Daily Pulse, proves the power of natural alternatives. Now, thousands have followed suit. Richardson Nutritional Center's Laetrile B17 and enzyme therapies, paired with organic produce kits and detox support from trusted retailers, are transforming lives. Rick reports even people who are suffering from the shots are achieving the same results he did. To use the same protocol that saved Rick Hill's life and receive a free copy of his book, go to rncstore.com/pages/ricksbundle and use the discount code PULSE for an additional 10% off your first order. That link again is rncstore.com/pages/ricksbundle, and remember to use discount code PULSE for an additional 10% off your first order. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. We are very grateful to all of our viewers and supporters of this show. We air every single weeknight at 7 p.m. Eastern, and we plan on continuing to bring you the latest breaking news and the news they're keeping from you. We are backed by you, the viewer. That way we can always tell you the truth, no holds barred. The way to support us to stay independent is by shopping directly with our sponsors who make this show possible. Their links are in the description below. Make sure to follow Vigilant Fox on X at Vigilant Fox, as well as Substack to stay up to date with the latest breaking news. Follow Zeee Media on Rumble, where we also air this show each weekday and post our other deep dives. Follow at ZEE_media on X, and as always, all of our content is also on zeemedia.com. Join us every weeknight at 7 p.m. Eastern. Tell everyone about it, and as always, keep your finger on the pulse with the Daily Pulse. Good night.